Hello, this is Addictedtostarwars23, and this is my response to this week of DailySWcollecting. I think it's week 13, but I may be wrong. I'm not good at remembering the week. But anyway, you guys really don't care about that. So, let's get into the video then. This week we're supposed to talk about, like what? I'm trying to fix my hair. Sorry, like this week is supposed to be about, like, you're supposed to talk about, um, so I haven't done a video in a while, I'm kind of rusty. But this week we're basically supposed to talk about reasons you would buy a figure. So pretty much, I'll just get into the video. Then the first thing I wanted to mention though is sometimes like a reason why I want to buy a figure is like if if it looks like it has a good feel to the figure. By that I mean like when you pick it up, like a good example of this is Snow Trooper. Like where if you just like if you ever had the chance to feel the figure, like what it feels like. Otherwise, like if it's not really like any specific reason. Sometimes if you just pick up a figure and it just feels right. I mean, it just feel like sometimes if you just pick up a figure and it feels like it's a good figure. So I think the Snow Trooper fits that reason. So I use him as an example. So anyway, that one isn't I'm not really going to count as one of the points. I just wanted to mention that. But I think like the reason it feels like a good figure is because it's like for the following reasons I'm going to name. With each reason, I'm going to have a figure as an example, to show you like figures that fit well into this description. Then the first thing, by the way, these are in no specific order. It's not like they're not made to go in any specific order. Like it's not like the one that's most important is first or anything like that. I just kind of made them all up and wrote them down as I went. So that's why I have a list here. But anyway, the first one though is face sculpt. Obviously, this is very important because that's the main thing that makes it look like a character. Otherwise, it wouldn't look anything like a character. And for that, I thought a good example is Admiral Akbar. Most of you know he has a very good face sculpt on him. See that? So I think he's a pretty good example of that. Then the next thing that I thought was like pretty important for a figure is accessories. Like a figure that came with a lot of accessories was the Vintage Collection Darth Maul, which I have right here. So I tried to put all of his accessories on him. That way you can see how many accessories he comes with. But with this example, it can kind of vary. Like with Darth Maul, like I said, he came with a lot of accessories. And of course, you think that because he's a normal size figure. So, he comes with more accessories than your average Star Wars figure. Except sometimes you think differently. Because, like for instance, if you buy a Yoda, like this one, of course, if he just came like this, pretty good amount of accessories, but you wouldn't really be very happy, would you? That's why with Yoda, they always had to have a lot of accessories or people complain. So, like with accessories, it kind of changes from figure to figure. If it's a smaller figure, you won't buy, like, if it doesn't have a lot of accessories, you won't buy it. But with a big figure, if it doesn't have a lot of accessories, it's a good figure, it just didn't come with a lot of accessories. That's just kind of the way you think. Most people think. Or, you guys might be. There's probably one exception out there somewhere who doesn't care about accessories. The next one I said is proportion. Otherwise, like, I thought a good example of this is not Darth Maul, Savage Press. Because he looks pretty proportional to me. By that, I just mean like, like the entire body sculpt, if everything looks in proportion, like the head doesn't look too small, the arms don't look too long, legs don't look too long, stuff like that. Just, like that it looks overall proportional. I think that's very important. And that's obviously something, you're going to complain about if you don't like it. So I think that affects if you want to buy a figure or not. Next thing I said is materials. And a good example of a figure with a lot of materials on it is the Tusken Raider. And by that I mean, like, on this figure, the main material I was thinking of is the cloth on him. You can see he has a lot of cloth on him. And with nowadays figures, it's very important because a lot of figures nowadays have cloth on them, you know, instead of rubber and stuff. So that's very important if the cloth is a good material or not. You know, if it uses a very cheap cloth, you might not want to buy the figure. And another example of materials is like weapons. Like also on the Tusken Raider, that makes it another good example is his gaffy stick, which is kind of flimsy. I'll just take it out of his hand, so trying to see it bends pretty easily. So, you know, like if you want figures you buy to have good weapons. I think most of the time, like if the weapon isn't that good, you might still want to buy the figure, but some people might not want to. And then let's see what's next thing. Sculpted detail, like detail sculpt on a figure. You know, like how well the sculptor of the figure, you know, made a detail and stuff. A good example of a figure with a lot of sculpting detail is Bosk. Because, you know, like, if a figure has really bad sculpting detail, it's very important. You know, like, if the figure has sculpted detail or not. Because, you know, it's the actual figure. You can't fix that. Unless, you know, of course, like, you get... Well, actually, I don't really think you could at all. Well, unless you, like, re-sculpted a figure or something. But, you know, you need a lot of materials to do that and stuff like that. It's not easy. I think that's a good example of that. Another thing that is very similar, but a little bit different, is painted details. Like, a good example of that is Dengar. You can see he has a lot of paint on him that makes him look very detailed. Now this one, I think in most cases, it's not as important as sculpted detail. Because with painted detail, you might be able to go back and fix it. If, like, you know, if Hasbro missed a spot or something, you know, you might be able to go get some paint yourself and paint it yourself. Or maybe give the figure some more weathering or something like that, but it's still pretty important, you know, it's still something that might affect if you want to buy the figure or not. If there's no good paintwork on it, you might not want to buy it. Another good example, I think, which is really important to collectors nowadays, is like what memories the figure brings back, like what nostalgia it gives you. Of course, a perfect example of that is this guy, of course, the rocket firing Boba Fett. Pretty obvious example though. Otherwise, you know, like stuff that has nods to the vintage days, or to Power of the Force, or pretty much any of previous line of Star Wars figures. So, of course, you know, that might make you want to buy a figure more. Not really make you want to buy a figure less, but it might be a reason you specifically want to buy a figure. So it's something that affects, you know, if you want to buy a figure now. Another one is, another reason you might want to buy a figure is if it's something we haven't gotten a modern update of lately. What's a good example of that? Like why a lot of people want to buy this is the Rebel Fleet Trooper. I think he's a good example because we didn't get one for a while. We got one back in like Power of the Jedi, but that one didn't have incredibly good articulation. Whereas now we do have one that has great articulation. So once again, that's something that might make you want to buy a figure a lot if, you know, we haven't gotten an update on a lot. There's a lot of good examples of that in the vintage collection, like, you know, like Wicked, Logray, the Tauntaun, all sorts of stuff. And next thing though is articulation. I think that's one of the most important things on a figure because, you know, for posability and stuff. And a good example of a figure with good articulation is this guy, the ARF trooper. You know, these guys have amazing articulation. You know, they are ball jointed, no, ball jointed or ball hinged. Everything. There's not like one piece of articulation missing from this guy. I'm gonna put both of his feet on the pegs. I just have one of his feet on the peg of the stand, so that way you can kind of stand on it better. But once again, with this, it kind of depends on the figure, you know, if you think it has good articulation or not. But by that I mean, like, once again, with a small figure, like, you know, if articulation is different, like, for instance, with the vintage collection Yoda, like, he doesn't have amazing articulation, you know, he's got swivel elbows, but, you know, with a grown figure now, you wouldn't buy that, because, you know, nobody likes swivel elbows. Well, nobody I've met. But, you know, with Yoda, a lot of people want him, because, you know, he's so little, swivel elbows is perfectly fine. You know, because they can't add as much articulation on littler figures. So once again, it kind of changes if a figure is smaller. And the last thing I said, which is, I just dropped an accessory. I keep doing that today. Sorry about that. And then the last thing I said was originality. This is one of the most important things to me. Like, otherwise, for instance, if a figure, you know, if we haven't seen anything like it before, you know, if Hasbro came up with their own idea or gave us something like from the expanded universe, everybody loves stuff like that. For instance, a good example of that is the Anakin Skywalker, young one in his Jedi Knight outfit, I think it's called. By that I mean he's pretty original because, you know, we never saw Anakin using a lightsaber or wearing the Padawan helmet thing or using probe droid in episode 1. Well, not probe droid, sorry. I mean using the training remote thing that looks a lot like the thing Luke used in episode 4. I know why I said probe droid. And plus, you know, like, we really didn't see Anakin in his Jedi Knight outfit for that long. So this is pretty much like an expanded universe figure, if you really think about it. By the way, I got him pretty recently. So, I said, I think that's pretty original thing. They did a lot of pretty original things in the Phantom Menace wave, like the Darth Sidious. You know, like when you take the robe off, then he looks like when he's a Sith apprentice. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So I'm getting off topic again. But anyway, that's pretty much everything I put on my list. So, there's one more thing I want to talk about. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, sorry about that. There's something else I want to show you guys real quick because, I know like, towards the beginning of the channel, Josh mentioned that, like, it'd be okay if we mentioned some, like, other stuff, like if we did haul videos and stuff. So, I just really quick wanted to mention that, like, I got these recently, like, at the same time I got the Jedi Knight Anakin I showed you earlier in this video. But I just wanted to ask you guys, and, well, mention it to you guys more, that I got these, kind of stupid, but I already forgot what these things are called. They're, oh, sorry, I can't remember the name already. I think these are Force Battlers, I think they're called. No, those are something else. Sorry, it's hard for me to remember the name, but, you know, the things that come with these ball things you're supposed to, like, throw at them or something. Hopefully, you guys will know what I'm talking about when I show you guys these. I just bought these for, like, they cost like $2. So I had some extra money when I got Anakin, and I, you know, bought a pack of these. They're actually pretty cool. They're kind of like the, you know, the line of like little figure things that they had in the 90s. Can't remember what those are called either. So I'm more of an action figure collector. I've never really collected anything else than that before, Star Wars wise. Well, not like incredibly, like I mean, not a lot of stuff. But see, in the pack that I got, you get like 2 figures. So I got Boba Fett and Jabba. Well, you can't really like buy a set just for 2 specific figures. You have to. All the bags are closed. You just buy one and then you get what you get. I just wanted to show you these to you guys and tell you you should think about picking up some. They're pretty cool. At least I think you should give them a chance. They're not that expensive. I don't know what the heck this thing's for. I guess you're supposed to play some sort of game with them or something, but I'm just gonna display these, not play with them. I don't know how you'd play with these, since they can't move or anything, and I don't get why you need this little clear ball thing to play with them. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I just wanted to mention I got these to you guys. And I think that's pretty much it, because I don't think we had a character discussion this week, so, I can't really talk about a character discussion if we don't have one. So, anyway, that's pretty much it for my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, may the force be with you. Bye.